A warning today from the top U.S. commander in Afghanistan. General David Petraeus expects fierce fighting in the spring as insurgents try to retake towns captured by NATO troops. The general's wife, meanwhile, is fighting a battle on the home front on behalf of military families. Many have been ripped off by banks. Today, J.P. Morgan Chase apologized for overcharging thousands of military families for their mortgages. As I discovered, the general's wife is gung-ho about her new mission.
I haven't been in the spotlight personally, but I'm willing to do it for the cause of our military families.
Holly Petraeus has always preferred to let her husband, General David Petraeus, take center stage.
I appreciate the opportunity
But now she's answering the call to service.
To compete on a level playing field.
Leading an office within the new Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to safeguard military personnel and their families from financial fraud.
They are a targeted population. It's sad to say that, but it's true. You'll see outside the gates of military installations, there's usually a strip out there with the buy here, pay here car dealers, the check cashing, the payday loans, the pawn shops, all ways for them to basically cut into their paycheck by taking out debt to buy things.
A recent survey found that nearly a third of military families had at least $10,000 in credit card debt, compared to 16% for the civilian population.
There's my floating dock.
Foreclosures on the homes of military families are also on the rise.
There's pictures of that island.
James Hurley, who lives in Hartford, Michigan, had his house foreclosed on by Deutsche Bank and even sold while he was serving in Iraq in 2005.
I didn't know that they could sell it while I was gone. And I figured when I come home, I'd come home to my house.
According to federal law, banks cannot foreclose on the homes of active duty servicemen and women without a court order. But it's happening all too often.
I sent them all my paperwork. There's no way they can say, well, we didn't know you was not in the military or guards. I think the government should heat them pretty bad for breaking the federal law.
When the United States of America sends our men and women overseas to serve our country, shouldn't we back here at least be looking out for their home?
Banks need to be sure that their administrators know and understand that there is a law for military personnel who go on active duty that reduces the interest on their debts.
Her mission is to educate military families about how to protect themselves. So she's visiting bases around the country, like Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio.
I realize some of what you're going through, and I really appreciate your willingness to come out today and to talk to us about what you're hearing and seeing.
She says her work helps her cope with her husband's long absences.
I really can't think of anything better to be doing while my husband is deployed forever than.
First to Iraq.
You're part of something real important, and you know that.
And now Afghanistan.
We have arrived at a critical moment.
They talk to each other mostly via email. Do you feel as if he's done enough? He's served his country. It's time for him to come home?
Well, every deployment has an ending, so I know he's not going to be there forever.
She met her husband of 36 years in 1973 while her father was superintendent of West Point. David Petraeus was then a hotshot cadet. She hopes military families learn from mistakes they made early in their marriage, like buying a fancy but temperamental sports car.
I have learned from experience, and we were lucky. Ours were not, didn't have serious consequences, but we did spend a lot of money on repairs on that red sports car.
Whose idea was that, by the way?
I'll probably have to point the finger at my husband on that one.
Holly Petraeus told me that part of her mission is to connect the military with the American people. In her words, they need to know us and to know what our lives are like.